what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Show and Tell on WPwatercooler Network. We're going to be talking with Nathan Tyler from StagingPilot today. He's going to be doing a demo of his pretty awesome product. I've seen the demo before, and I really wanted to share it with you folks, which is why we're here today to talk about it. Nathan, say hi to the good folks at home.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Jason.
No problem at all, man. I love doing these demos because I get to get these great individuals to share the products that they're building. And also you're a local, you're in the LA area, I'm in the LA area. And it's just kind of cool to just kind of sit down and talk with people about, the cool products that they're building. So where did StagingPilot come from and why did you build it?
Sure. So it kind of came out of my own need. I've been doing agency work for feels like forever, and started doing maintenance plans, and really found that as a great path to recurring revenue, and stabilized out the ups and downs of client work. But I found it was pretty hard to manage a large number of sites. There were a lot of tools that helped with doing updates in bulk, but not necessarily testing them and knowing that everything worked. And it was just taking a lot of time each month to manage those things.
That's awesome. That's really cool. How long did it take you from start to finish to kind of get to the point where that you're at now, development wise?
Yeah. So, we started hacking together some scripts and used WPCLI, and I figured it'd be about a 3 or 6 month project to kind of get up and running, and that was about 4 years ago now. So typical developer, underestimated just slightly.
Okay. Well, if you build stuff and you hope that things just work out, easily and stuff, especially when you start with you hack together a bunch of scripts and, this turned into, started out as like a couple Bash scripts stuck together and some Python with some Ruby, then I can see where, it's like, okay, let's boil this down to something that actually works. So let's talk a little bit about it. So, you started off initially doing some basic scripts to kind of make this thing work. Where did you start going into, okay, I need a GUI to this and I need to really have something that makes it easy for people to see?
So I was really kind of like pitching some other products at that point and talking to different people. And I kept talking to people at work camps and stuff. And they said, well, how's that thing going that you're working on with all the automation? And like people kept asking about that and not anything I was trying to tell them about. And then at some point I just kind of flipped the switch and was like, all right, well, what I have here is, something that other people could use. And then I started, with a group of, friends and trusted people just kind of trying it out. And they were very patient with basically no interface and just kind of started building pieces on to make it more usable and giving them some reports and visibility into what was happening.
That's cool. Well, let's do a little bit of screen sharing here and kind of show me what you have and how you kind of started building this out.
Great. Yeah. You got my screen up there?
Yeah.
All right. So basically the problem that we're trying to solve is, everyone has probably had that hesitation when it comes time to click update. They hesitate and think, do I have time to deal with this if something goes wrong? Or remember that time I clicked update and my whole site completely broke. The homepage was all crazy. My checkout page didn't even load. Or sometimes worse in a way, that time when something really small broke, I clicked update and, the site looked okay, homepage looked okay. And then you actually find out from a customer like a week later that your contact form isn't submitting or the layout on your WooCommerce product page changed. And then you actually look kind of bad, or you're missing out on sales or contacts that you didn't realize, until much later. So everyone kind of has that hesitation, and so the result is that it's very common to log into a WordPress site and you see that it needs 39 updates. And
definitely,
so everybody's seen that.
And there's web hosts that do the basics of this, which is just let's check for an error code. Is there an error code? No error code. Okay, we're good to go. Do the updates. Updates done. Okay, we'll tell the end user that it's good to go. And that's like the basics of this. Now you're going into like, okay, let's really check to make sure by actually doing some testing as to, what's happening on, on the site, right?
Right.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's go into that.
I lost my screen there for a second.
No problem.
Yeah, so a lot of the built-in ones from hosting companies, like they're checking to see like did the homepage break entirely, and some of them will only check WordPress core updates, but you know a lot of the issues come from plugin updates specifically, or really nuanced things. So there are a lot of tools out there that kind of address this problem, right? Like, and I've used several of them, and they help you click that update button faster and in bulk across all your sites. But the problem for me always was like, can I confidently click that update button and then turn off my phone for the weekend? And definitely not. So the thing that we're really trying to tackle here is like, how can we automate the testing portion? All the time that I spend after I click bulk update, I start going through the pages and basically designing the process of like, what would I do, if myself or another human had all the time in the world to check over every page of your site after an update. So this is the experience that we've designed, is basically all your updates run automatically. And if everything is exactly the same, everything looks the same and is working the same, you get this kind of test result that gives you some confidence that everything is fine on your site. And then that update gets applied. So you really don't have to think about it. You can always come in at any point and just look at the results and say, okay, this little plugin got updated. Here's all the before and after views of this screen. So I can know for sure that nothing has changed. It does a pixel by pixel analysis of the screenshots to make sure that nothing has changed. And then this should be your default experience, right? It's like, I don't have to think about it. Everything's up to date.
That's really cool. I love that it's a visual thing, because people are visual. They want to see like, did this change when I did this change or not? And I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to really do a more visual side of things, and even being able to have a bar that you could drag back and forth is, that's just icing on the cake, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because the automation and everything is already analyzed, everything is already confirmed, everything's 0%. But it is nice to just have that extra check. So, and if you go to a client or you're showing customers that you're doing this kind of analysis and stuff, it gives them some confidence in what you're doing. It makes you look better too. So we definitely wanted to provide that, so you kind of have that visual confirmation.
That's cool.
But the place where this really comes in handy is like if something does go wrong, right? So like in that scenario where something small breaks, you can actually see here, we did a WooCommerce update and some custom styling on these drop-down menus has changed. And so like this is a perfect example of something that a human may not even catch, right? Like even if you were to update WooCommerce, and even if you went to the homepage and checked it, and even if you came to this products page and checked it, like the after doesn't actually look broken, right? Like the site is still working, and maybe I just forgot that our, we did some custom styling for this customer, and my navigation, drop downs used to look different, but StagingPilot will catch that. And so rather than like logging into a dashboard and clicking update all the time, in the previous case where everything goes smoothly, all this stuff is happening automatically all the time. My only interaction with these sites now is I get a notification, says, hey, we updated WooCommerce on this website. Here's a link, and go check it out. And it would take me to this page where I could easily see, which plugin updated and which pages broke as a result. And I can scrub back and forth real quickly and see what happened. And now the really key thing here is that this test result is not on your live site. So the update actually happens on a totally isolated and temporary testing copy of the site. So all this stuff, all this analysis, all this updates, all this stuff is happening offsite. And so you get this notification, and now you have, as long as you want to kind of deal with it, there's an option here. If you just look at this and you're like, oh, I don't really care that much. I'm glad that I'm aware of it, but I'll just allow it through. You could do that. Or you could go back, to your developer, put it in your development schedule to say, okay, I need to fix this issue. Let me go in and fix it like when you have time, but it's not affecting your customers. It hasn't touched your live site yet.
Very cool. I love that. That's neat. Now, how does the interface on the left hand side where it says I fix this, I change this, and that sort of stuff over there, is that something that's for you to talk with your developer or your development team, or is it just more of a sanity check on your part?
Yeah, so we're actually going to be changing that just a little bit because we found that has led to a little bit of confusion with our users. So like that specific part of this will actually be getting simplified a little bit. But basically what we do is the options are going to be, I can click and say, I want to allow this through, which is like the acceptable expected change. So like for this example, you would just say, I don't care about that. It's just visual as long as it still works. I'll push it through. The other thing is that like StagingPilot will just keep retrying this. So it might fail this, but it might be a bug with WooCommerce, and WooCommerce might come out with version 3.2.1 in this case the next day, and it might fix it. So StagingPilot will just keep trying again, and if it ever succeeds, then it'll automatically fix itself. So StagingPilot would send you this notification, but you might be able to just be aware but kind of ignore the first one or two. And then it might resolve itself, or you might go to your developer and just say, okay, we need to fix our theme, adjust a little CSS, and you would put that out to your live site. And then when the fix is in place, the next time StagingPilot tries to run all of its test analysis, it would actually pass everything and succeed.
Very cool. All right. What else we got here?
So the other nice thing, we spent a lot of time basically making sure that this would work with any hosting environment. So we have an integration with WP Engine and Pantheon. You can basically actually jump over when I jump into the app, and we can show that. But basically the process of adding a site is very easy. So I could go to like cooler.com. So you just put in the URL of the site, and then you're going to choose the hosting company. Oh, did I misspell it?
It looks like it's already been imported. Check you out. You're already testing me out.
That earlier as a test. All right. Okay. Let me put in. I guess I've done too many demos here.
The site that never changes, google.com.
There we go. So yeah, if it was on Pantheon, it's really simple. You basically just invite us to the install, and then you just put in the URL of your site, and we kind of take it from there. With WP Engine, same thing. You add us to the install, and we use the Git deployment method and everything. Or we support any host over FTP or SFTP, so you could.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, put in anything.
So is that pulling down a copy of the database as well, or is it's pretty much setting up a whole new WordPress installation in your environment?
Yeah, so every time StagingPilot runs its process, it's a long, very involved process. It pulls down all the plugins and themes. It pulls down the database. It constructs a temporary copy where all the tests run. And then we do a visual comparison. We run our full battery of tests between our test site and the production site to make sure we have a perfect identical copy. Then we run all our updates, and we run the visual analysis. So it's a full copy, and it's isolated from your live site. And then only then, if everything passes in that testing copy, the updates get applied to your live site.
Very cool. Can you show us a little bit of those screens as well?
Sure. So go back in here. So here's an example of one that failed. So it'll obviously catch huge changes like this that are 90% off. It's very clear what happened here. This page broke, and it'll even pick up those small changes like the WooCommerce thing we showed. But yeah, and here it's an interface you're probably familiar with. You got your list of sites. You can kind of see the updates that are available. You have an activity feed of things that have happened recently. If you wanted to want to go look and see some updates that have happened recently on this site, so I can go see Beaver Builder was updated 21 hours ago. So I can click in and see the screenshot test results. So I can scroll through the whole page and see that everything is the same, which of course is already done and shows at 0%. Here's the list of plugins that was changed during this time.
So the before and after image is an image, right? You're showing two different images and sliding between the two of them, or is that an active site?
So it's harder to see when they're identical, but yeah, here it's actually two images in the background there, and as you move your mouse and scrub through, it's showing that difference. We also generate a diff image, which is what we use to calculate this 94.6%. It's not as visually clear to a human, but this is the pixel by pixel analysis. It'll highlight all the differences. And when you have something like this that's so drastically different, you'll get these kind of diagonal lines. But that's why we have this version for humans, and this is the computer analysis behind the scenes that will pick things up.
So those tests, are those tests that can be done for multiple pages that are on the same site? Can you have it go through a funnel or go through a path that a typical person would go through in order to be able to make a purchase or, get to that end page?
Yeah. So basically, when you're going through the setup process, you can set up. It'll automatically scan the navigation when you import a site, and it'll find the different pages for it to take screenshots of. But here's like how you could add. You can add as many as you want,
Gotcha.
But it'll scan through and find pages to take a screenshot of automatically. So by default, we look for like maybe 12 screenshots, which gives you really good coverage, throughout your site. But you can add specific ones, and then you can add automated tests to go through like a checkout process, that kind of thing. Right now, kind of a lot of those things exist out there. You can write custom tests for all of your sites and software. The problem is that it's a lot of work to do that and set up that process, and so a lot of people don't do it. So what we're working on is making support for popular plugins. So StagingPilot detects that you have WooCommerce installed, and then we automatically check your product page and your cart page and your checkout page and go through that process of adding it to the cart, going through the checkout and making sure, obviously with payment gateways and stuff that gets tricky, but because StagingPilot is smart and it has a copy of the temporary site, we can change the payment method to do a cash payment and go through the checkout. So
very
that's
smart.
We want to be able to support, basically we want people to be able to import their site for WordPress and like have all the common things taken care of. Like what would a human do? If they had all the time in the world, they would go through all the pages and make sure nothing has visually changed. They would, if WooCommerce is installed, you're going to go through a checkout process. If Gravity Forms is installed, you're going to submit a form and make sure that, some JavaScript error didn't break your AJAX, meaning the form submission didn't get through and it's not in the database. So, we're going to check all those common things so that our customer experience can be, let me import this site onto StagingPilot, put it on autopilot, and forget about it until I hear otherwise.
Yeah, QA is hard. It's not easy, and especially if you're just somebody who's selling, selling some stuff on your website, and you don't really realize that by hitting update, it's going to potentially break something. Especially if you're using a plugin that they just went and did a quick little Google search, found a plugin, threw it in there, and then they find out that it messed up the entire checkout flow that needs to happen in order for them to make money. That would be really difficult for them to test without actually purchasing the products over and over again and doing those tests. So I can see where you definitely are hitting that need that that people that especially when it comes to applications or sites that need to have highly tested setups like this. I think you're really kind of hitting that need there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
So we looked at the visual stuff. We looked at just kind of what happens with those changes and the available updates and such. What about the updates over on the right-hand side there? So you have hours saved, the number of updates that are there, and then I guess that ties into that recent activity stuff too.
Yeah, it's just a nice kind of little visualization to show you how many updates happen on certain days and stuff, and give you just kind of a pulse when you log in across your sites, how much stuff is getting updated, and I can go and see, recent activity on these sites. you can click into any one of these sites and see all of the detail, but you basically want to see all that stuff. We also set up a kind of pro install where you can put all your premium plugins and themes, because a lot of times when you're managing multiple sites and you have dev and staging and all the license and authentication, it can get really complicated to juggle all those licenses. So we created a premium install where you, as an agency, you can go in and put in your Gravity Forms developer license, and you license it in one place, and then we use that as another source to do updates. So we check WordPress.org, but we also check your premium plugin set, and we'll pull it from there. So if there's a new version of Gravity Forms available in your pro install, then we use that across all of your sites. So you're not trying to juggle all those licenses and activate it across production site and staging and your local development, and sometimes you sync a database and those get dropped out.
Right.
So we've come up with that to handle that kind of situation.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I love this idea. I think that you've the demo has definitely changed since the last time I saw it, and it looks like you guys have put a lot of effort into building this out.
Yeah, it's been a lot of probably happened a lot since the last time we last looked.
So who's the target audience for this? Like who should really be looking at this, and who are you seeing as in your customer base that's kind of coming towards this product? Is it people that have e-commerce solutions? Is it people that have are they marketers? Are they web developers? Are they agencies? And then where are those agencies installing this on?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we have single site owners who, they know that WordPress updates are a problem and they want something to deal with them. And maybe they have a developer on standby that they contact when something goes wrong. And so we're a good fit for those kind of customers. Probably our largest group, though, is, agencies or, freelancers, anybody who's managing a lot of sites, because they're most aware of the pain of doing this, right? Like if you have 2 sites, it's not that big of a deal. You just log in every once in a while and you click update and hope for the best, and it's usually fine. And that tends to be it. But once you start, if you want to improve the processes and know that it's being handled correctly, or if you just have 10 or 20 or 50 sites, that becomes unmanageable pretty quickly. So we have like a sliding scale for our pricing. So basically, if you have like one site, it's like $59 per month, and then all the stuff we just showed you happens, but probably the bulk of our customers have multiple sites. So, by the time you're at 10 sites, it's $29 a site. And, if you've got 50 and so on, it basically drops down the more sites that you have. And a lot of our customers actually have maintenance plans that they're selling on to clients, and they're charging them, $79 to $199 a month for those services, and maybe bundling in hours or doing some other work. But if you're billing $100 an hour and you're spending even 10 or 15 minutes on that site each month, which means that you're probably not doing all of the diligent, thorough testing that we should be doing, it works out financially to be able to do that and be able to take on a large bulk of sites and get that recurring revenue and everything. So that's probably the bulk of our customers, are people managing lots of sites.
Very cool. Are there any reporting tools that are in there that they can provide for their customers?
Yeah, so that's actually something we're working on now. Is we send out, well, what we have now is we can dump to a Slack channel and we send out emails and stuff to the account owner. So you, Jason, sign up and you would get a kind of weekly report of the activity, that this is what's happened across all the sites. But what we're working on is, if you're selling these maintenance plans, there's also, you got to show the results to the customers, right? You got to show them that stuff is happening. And that's part of the work and part of the package. So what we're working on and pretty excited about is we have some stuff in place where you're going to be able to set up a template of what's going to get sent out to the customer. I say, dear customer, this is Jason, just want to let you know what happened on your site this month. And then we will insert, the list of the plugins that were updated and their version numbers, and maybe not in the first version, but then we also want to be able to say, like, oh, here's some screenshots. But basically, right now, we want to say automate that part of just giving the kind of monthly report of this is what's happened, and we want that to come from your email address. So the exciting part is that you'll be able to authenticate it. You'll have to approve us as a sender, but then we'll be able to send it from agency owner at agency.com to the customer. And when they hit reply, it goes right to you. So we want to automate that part as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And your price point's actually is great for what you're offering. And I think that's a pretty good deal there.
Thanks. Yeah, and we have a coupon code, WPwatercooler, so that'll get you 10% off for the lifetime of the account, regardless of how many sites you have. So I'm sure we'll put that in the show notes or something too. But
definitely, yeah. If you go down in the description or in the show notes on the website, you'll be able to find that there as well. Well, that's awesome, Nathan. You have any other things you wanted to tell us about regarding this, or you think we're looking pretty good here?
I mean, feel free to get in touch. There's a chat bubble at the bottom of the site, and that's usually me on it these days. So you can contact me. We'll put my Twitter handle or something in the show notes, but you can always contact me there or just directly on the site. Happy to hop on a direct call with anybody who has more questions, or just message us through the site.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Nathan, for taking the time out to kind of show us your product. And I love doing these types of very pitch heavy. We want to make sure that that you're able to kind of share with us what the efforts are that you've put into your product. And I think it's really cool to be able to see how you can kind of manage all those things just out of one web app. So StagingPilot.com, go check that out. And like he said, make sure you check out the offer code that he's providing as well. That would be great. Well, thank you very much, Nathan Tyler. Appreciate it. And you folks have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Jason.